Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzi, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we'll be covering is going over the American League games from yesterday, then moving on to the National League. After that, we'll be talking about the Orioles moving into first place of the American League East, and then we'll be talking about some pitching injuries around the league. Now, before we start, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show today. All right, so now, first of all, I do want to apologize for the audio of this episode. It is not going to be as good as it should be. It is going to not sound great. I did have some audio issues before this. I really had no choice but to sound like this, so I do apologize again. I'm hoping it isn't too bad. We can work through it. It should only be for today. I don't expect this to go on into the future, but it is today. Things happen, and yeah, it's just what it's going to sound like today. I do apologize. So that is also why I started late. I did have some audio issues, and that is yeah. But I want to go into our first topic of today, which is, of course, talking about the American League games from Monday, just recapping those and just talking about them. So, yeah, let's get straight into that. And yeah, here we go. So, the first game I did want to talk about was Athletics and Yankees. This game was very interesting as it was one of the better teams in baseball versus one of the worst teams in baseball, probably the worst, but it would not be high scoring as in the top of the ninth. Zach Gelof for the A's would hit a two-run home run to make it 2-0, and that would be it. Only run would come in the top of the ninth from a two-run home run from the A's, even not even from the Yankees. So as you can see, it was not a great game. It was a very interesting game as the Yankees lost to a team like the A's, which it's never great. So for the Yankees, they had on the mound Carlos Rodon, who's phenomenal. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2.70 ERA in the season now. For the A's, they had J.P. Sears, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no one runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, a 3.38 ERA on the season. Now, it's kind of been rough going for the Yankees right now. I mean, you know, their offense hasn't had the success they've wanted recently. It hasn't been great, so it's kind of worrying. Again, I talked about how the Orioles moved into first place in the AL East, so I think that has to relate to it. So we're going to talk about that later, of course. But yeah, just not really the results the Yankees want right now. And yeah, that's kind of it. They're just hoping it can improve. It can improve, and hopefully it can be better. So yeah, that's all you can really ask for. But there are some worrying things with the Yankees right now. I think specifically Anthony Rizzo. He has not been playing up to par, so really need these guys to start improving and really start doing well. Next game we have here to talk about is going to be Tigers and Rays. Top of the first, Mark Cannon would open up the scoring for the Tigers to make it 1-0 with his fourth home run of the year. Javier Baez in the top of the second would add on for the Tigers, hitting an RBI single to make it 2-0. And Jake Rogers in the same inning would do the same to make it 3-0. Top of the fifth, Riley Green with an RBI single to make it 4-0 Tampa, and Mark Cannon with an RBI single to make it 5-0. So Detroit just keeps adding on and on. Then in the top of the sixth, Parker Meadows would hit a solo home run to make it 6-0 Detroit. And top of the seventh, Terry Carpenter would double to keep adding on to this Tigers onslaught to make it 7-0. Now, a great job by the Tigers. I mean, the offense just keeps going and going. So, yeah, just a really, really great job there. In the bottom of the eighth, Jose Caballero would get a run on the board for the Rays to make it 7-1 with a solo home run, his second of the year. But it will be no match Rays offense as the Rays offense would falter to the Tigers' great offense yesterday, making a final score of 7-1. Now the Tigers had on the mound Tarek Skubal, my AL Cy Young choice, making me proud. Going 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts, and no home runs to a 1.82 ERA on the season. Really, really great start, and I think this is what a lot of people were expecting from him. For the Rays, they had Zach Littell on the mound. He went 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, no walks, 7 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Kind of interesting that the Rays let him go this far with how uh, not well, I should say, he was doing. So, kind of an interesting decision there, but I guess they figured the offense was just kind of dead that game and they just wanted to rest the bullpen. So, I guess that was their decision there, but kind of interesting let him go that far with how much he struggled yesterday. So, I still think he's a good pitcher. I still think he's a really good depth guy for the Rays. So I'm not. I don't think it's something that should be too much of a worry going forward. But you definitely want to see a better start than that going into the future. Next game we have is Blue Jays and Royals. In the top of the third, Bo Bichette would hit an RBI triple to make it 3-0 Toronto. Then in the top of the sixth, Dalton Varsho would hit a two-run home run to make it 5-0 Toronto. So a great start off by this Toronto offense. Just keeps, just jumping on start of the game here. Bottom of the sixth, Michael Garcia would hit a two-run home run to make it 5-2 Toronto. Then in the bottom of the ninth, Kyle Isbell would add on as well, making it 5-3 with a solo home run. So good job by the Royals offense to come back a little bit, but they would end up losing this game to the Blue Jays, who would get a really nice win against this good Royals team to get their record up to 13-10, tying it with the Royals as well. So that was really nice. The Blue Jays, they had on the mound Yusei Kikuchi. He went 6 innings pitched, giving up 5 hits, 2 1 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, and a homer, a 2.28 ERA in the season so far. I mean, very high up in Cy Young's voting right now, which is very, very surprising. So for the Royals, they had on the mound Brady Singer, who was solid. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 2.76 ERA. Not the best, but not horrible as well. So it's kind of an okay start, and that's really all you can ask for with him. So next game we have is going to be White Sox and Twins, another AL Central matchup. So Twins are looking to beat this easy White Sox team. I think with all the underperforming they've had this entire season, the Twins, I think this is a really good opportunity to try and take advantage of playing a lesser opponent in the White Sox, a team that is not very good. So I think this is a good opportunity for them here in this game and the series. In the bottom of the first, Max Kepler would hit an RBI double to score Trevor Larnach and Ryan Jeffers to make it 2-0 Minnesota. Then he would do this. Trevor Larnach himself would hit an RBI double to score Eduardo Julian to make it 3-0 Minnesota. Then Max Kepler with an RBI single again to make it 4-0, and a Willie Castro double would make it 5-0. So a really good job there by the White Sox to come in clutch and take advantage of this bad White Sox pitching staff. Eduardo Julian with an RBI double in the bottom of the fourth, and then a solo home run by Julian, another RBI by him, his fifth of the year, having a really great start to the season so far, would make it 7-0 Minnesota, and they would end up winning this game. So as I said, I think they need to take this opportunity and run with it. Playing a team like the White Sox who aren't that good, taking this advantage, and they took it and they run with it. So they took it and they ran with it. So a really nice job by the Twins here, a really nice win, and I still believe in them. I don't know if they can win the AL Central at this point because just the horrible start they gotten off to. But I still think there's a chance, and I still think they're a really good team. So I'm hoping they prove me right, and yeah, hoping they can continue going. The Twins had Chris Paddock on the mound. He went 7 innings pitched, giving up 6 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts, and no home runs, a 5.57 ERA on the season. For the White Sox, they had Jonathan Cannon, I believe is his name. Yep, a opener as well. So he was 3 and 2/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts, 7.27 ERA in the season. Kind of what you expect from Jonathan Cannon. He was, the opener against a really good Twins offense. I don't think you can really expect much else from him. So, yeah, and not really a big surprise there that he was faltering. Next game we have here is going to be talking about the Orioles and Angels. The last game actually for the American League. Not that many American League games yesterday. So, just did want to just mention a few that did happen. In the top of the second, James McCann would hit a solo home run to make it 1-0 Baltimore. Then in the top of the third, Adley Rutschman did hit a RBI single to make it 2-0 Baltimore. Top of the fifth, Rutschman would hit another RBI double to make it 3-0. Not another RBI double, another RBI, I should say. The other one wasn't a double, but an RBI there. Top of the seventh, Colton Cowser would hit a solo home run to make it, to make it 4-0 Baltimore. And in the bottom of the seventh, the Angels would try to come back a little bit with a Joe Adell two-run home run, his second, solo home run, his second of the year, to make it 4-1 Baltimore. Then Nolan Shanuel would hit a RBI single to make it 4-2 Baltimore. So as much as the Angels would try to come back, it was unsuccessful, and they would be shut down by the Orioles pitching. and the Orioles offense would just outscore them. For the Orioles, they had on the mound Albert Suarez, who went 5 2/3, giving them 4 hits, no earned runs, two walks, 5 strikeouts. So a really, really strong start by him there. I think he could potentially be a fixture in the rotation if he's pitching like this. For the Angels, they had Reed Detmers on the mound, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 2 homers, a 2.12 ERA on the season. So a pretty solid start. Nothing too extraordinary. I think going 7 innings against the Baltimore offense is pretty good. 4 earned runs isn't horrible, but it's not the best. So it's kind of mediocre there. So it's really all you can ask for, I think. Um, that was all for the American League games for yesterday. There wasn't that many. And with the audio troubles I am having, I'm assuming if you are watching this, you can hear my audio does not sound great. I am going to try to put the show a little short today, not so short, but I think maybe, a few minutes short. So I am going to move on to the next segment here, which is going to be talking about the National League games of yesterday. There are a little more of those, so hopefully there is more action I can talk about. But yeah, again, I do want to apologize for the audio. It will not be like this for tomorrow and any other episode going ahead. So yeah, it's just like this for now. I had some issues, so I had to do it like this. But we're going to go to our second segment, of course, here, which is talking about the National League games of yesterday. So yeah, going to that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link at gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And we're going into our second segment of the day today, which is talking about the National League games of yesterday. So we just talked about the American League. Again, it's cut a little short because of some audio difficulties, but I still wanted to get it out there. So yeah, we'll be talking about the American League game, the National League games now. Sorry, there will a little bit more of that, a little bit more action as well. So it's probably going to be a little longer. So we'll be talking about that, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So for the first game we have is a late game in the late window. Started at 9:45 for the East Coast, where I am. It was Mets and Giants. Mets going to San Francisco after winning a series versus the Dodgers, but they did drop the last game of it. So 2 out of 3. So we'll be seeing how they do here against another NL West team in San Fran, continuing their West Coast road trip. For the bottom of the second, Nick Ahmed would hit a RBI single, two-score Mike Conforto and Jorge Soler, one former Met and one guy who was rumored a lot with the Mets. So both would come home on this Nick Ahmed RBI single. Then in the bottom of the third, Matt Chapman would hit an RBI double, two-score Wilmer Flores, another former Met, and Jung Hoo Lee to make it 4-0. Pete Alonso would get the Mets on the board, though, in the top of the fifth with a solo home run to make it 4-1. But Mike Conforto, Pete Alonso's former teammate, would hit his fifth home run of the year to answer right back to the Giants, making it 5-1. Top of the ninth, a wild pitch by Camilo Duval would score Brandon Nimmo and move Francisco Lindor to third to make it 5-2 San Fran. The Mets putting on a run. The Mets would have the tying run to bat with DJ Stewart on with the man on first and third, but he would end up grounding out, and the Mets would lose this game to the Giants. Now, I'm assuming most people in the New York area did not care about the Mets losing yesterday, because the Rangers are up 1-0 on their series. The Knicks just beat the Sixers in an amazing game, and the Islanders had one of the worst losses we've seen in hockey history. So Putting it to other sports, I don't really think most people were focusing on the Mets yesterday, but two straight losses now after having that really great streak. I don't really think they're coming back down to earth, quote unquote, but you'd like to see them try to win a game now. I think three in a row and then losing a series to the Giants would not be ideal. Definitely need them to pick it up a little bit and continue being the Mets that we saw in those past few weeks. So I think that's what a lot of Mets fans and New York fans are hoping for. For the Mets, they had on the mound Jose Quintana, who was not great. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a home run allowed. Not great. 4.24 ERA, 4.21 ERA in the season so far. This is a guy who has been very disappointing for the Mets, in my opinion, this year. I expect him to be a big part of the rotation, and he's just not been that so far. So definitely watching him in the future and seeing what does happen. I think if the Mets do call up some of their younger pitchers, some of their depth guys, Quintana could potentially be out of the rotation. I mean, he only has 1 year left in his contract. He's older. The Mets have a lot of other younger pitchers that could be better than him. So we'll see about that, and we'll see what happens there. But that'll be something to watch in the future. For the Giants, they had Keaton Winn on the mound, who was phenomenal. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. 3.54 ERA in the season now after coming back from injury. I talked about it before in the season, but Keaton Winn was my X factor for the San Francisco Giants. This is a guy I think has one of the best pitches in baseball with his off speed. And I think with all the pitching injuries they have suffered, he is going to be a guy that really fills in a lot for that Giants rotation and is a big, big part of what they're going to try to do. So, yeah, so far I'm being proven right, and he's been really, really done. He's been doing really, really well. So, congrats to him. Next game we have is a battle of two red teams, the Phillies and the Reds, two really good National League teams. In the top of the second, Bryson Stott would hit a sacrifice fly to score Alec Bohm. Kyle Schwarber would also hit a sacrifice fly to make it 2-0. Bryson Stott would hit an RBI ground out in the top of the fourth to make it 3-0. JT Realmuto would hit an RBI double to make it 4-0. And then a Cody Clevens 3-run home run to make it 7-0 Philly, where they would end up winning the game at that score 7-0. So Reds would only get 2 hits in the entire game. Phillies would score 7 and just have an offensive barrage. The Reds, they had on the mound Hunter Green, who was okay. 7 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Not entirely what you want, but not horrible either. So it's not the best, but again, it could have been a lot worse with this Phillies offense. For the Phillies, they had Ranger Suarez on the mound, who was absolutely phenomenal. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, 1.35 ERA on the season yesterday. So a really, really great start. Just a really great job by him. I think the Phillies pitching has been phenomenal these past few games. So if they can keep it going, I think they'll be a threat in the National League coming up. Next game we have here is going to be Pirates and Brewers. Scoring would open up in the bottom of the first as Andrew McCutchen would hit his second home run of the year to put the Pirates up on the board 1-0 against McCutchen's former team, the Brewers, who we played with last year. Top of the fifth, Rhys Hoskins would answer right back with a home run of his own for the Brewers, tying up the game at 1, his 5th run of the season for them. Bottom of the sixth, Jack Suwinski would reach on a fielding error by Jake Bauers to score Ryan Hayes and moving Connor Joe to third to make it 2-1 Pirates, taking the lead off that error. Then in the same inning, O'Neill Cruz would score home Connor Joe and Jack Suwinski with a RBI single to make it 4-1 Pittsburgh. The Brewers would attempt to come back a little bit with a Rhys Hoskins RBI ground out to score William Contreras to make it 4-2, but they would end up losing the game at that score, so the comeback would be thwarted and they would not end up winning, as the Pirates would end up beating their division rival 4-2. The Brewers, they had on the mound Joe Ross, who's okay, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, two runs, 1 earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and a homer, 4.05 ERA on the year now. For the Pirates, they had Jared Jones on the mound, who continues his phenomenal stretch since being called up to the big leagues. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. I mean, he's just been absolutely phenomenal. I think the Pirates' young core, especially their pitching core, is very underrated, and they have a lot of great guys coming up soon. I mean, you had Jared Jones, you had Paul Skeens, you had Roansy Contreras, who could potentially be coming back. You could sign some guys for agency as well. I think the Pirates are going to be pretty good sooner rather than later, and I think the young talent they have on their roster are currently proving that assumption right now. Next game we have up is a NL East matchup of the Braves and the Marlins. In the bottom of the fourth, Travis d'Arnaud would hit a 2-run home run to score Marcell Ozuna to make it 2-0 Atlanta. Then David Fletcher in the same inning would hit a RBI single to score Adam Duvall to make it 3-0 Atlanta. That would be the score of the game. No other scoring would happen after that. The Marlins and the Braves would get the same amount of hits, both getting 8, but only 3 runs were scored in the entire game. So kind of anticlimactic getting so many hits, but not scoring that many runs. So the Marlins had on the mound Ryan Weathers, who went 5 and 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, three earned runs, 3 walks, strikeout, and a home run. A really solid start by him, I think. 5 and 2/3, 3 earned runs for a guy that's been struggling a little bit against the Braves. I think is a really, really great start by him against how good that offense is. I'd be happy if I was a Marlins fan. For the Braves, they had Bryce Elder, who was really great. 5 and 2/3, 6 and 2/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He's yet to give up a run this year. So um, that was his first start of the year, actually. So that makes sense that he wasn't giving up a run the entire year. But um, yeah, a really great start by him. I know it is the Marlins, but at the same time, still is a major league roster. They still have a lot of good guys on that team. Brian De La Cruz, Luis Ariz, Jazz Chisholm, Avi Garcia maybe 3 years ago was pretty good. So I think a really solid start by Bryce Elder there, and I think a guy that is going to be really clutch for the Braves' depth going into the future. Next game we have here to talk about is going to be Diamondbacks and Cardinals. We move into the top of the second here. With the scoring would start with a Eugenio Suarez RBI single to score Jack Peterson to make it 1-0 Arizona. Then Ketel Marte would hit sacrifice fly to score a Eugenio Suarez to make it 2-0. Top of the fifth, Suarez would come in clutch again for the Diamondbacks, basically making it his game, hitting a ground rule double to make it 3-0 Arizona. Then Cardinals offense would start to come alive in the bottom of the sixth with a Lars Nootbaar RBI single to score Mason Wynn and Michael Siana to make it 3-2 Arizona. Paul Goldschmidt against his former team would tie up the game, only his second home run of the year. He has really, really been struggling so far, making it 3-3. So hopefully that home run can get him going. Then in the bottom of the ninth, Nolan Gorman would hit a walk-off 2-run home run to win the game for St. Louis 5-3, capping off the comeback. A really great win for this Cardinals team that has really, really been struggling. But again, I think this offense has a lot of potential. They have yet to put it together, but I think that there's a lot to like here and a really great job there to end up winning this game. For the Cardinals, they had on the mound Lance Lynn, went 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, 2.81 ERA on the season. For the Diamondbacks, they had Brendan Pfaadt, who went 5 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 4.97 ERA in the season. If I'm the Cardinals, if I'm the Diamondbacks, I need Pfaadt to be a little bit better this season. I know his season hasn't been horrible, but you've had a lot of injuries happening so far with guys like Jordan Montgomery and Eduardo Rodriguez. Sorry, Eduardo Rodriguez and Merrill Kelly having some injury risks. You signed Jordan Montgomery to kind of alleviate those injury risks. So I think you need Pfaadt to be a little bit better and just improve a little bit more. So final game we have here is Rockies and Padres, the battle of the NL West. Top of the third, Jerkson Profar would hit an RBI single to open up the scoring against his former team to make it 1-0 San Diego. Then in the bottom of the fourth, Ryan McMahon would hit sacrifice fly to score Charlie Blackmon to make it 1-1. Tyler Wade would hit an RBI single to make it 2-1 San Diego. And then Jackson Merrill would hit an RBI single himself to score Tyler Wade to make it 3-1 San Diego. They would end up winning this game at that score. So a really nice job by this Padres team to capitalize off playing the bad Rockies, getting back over 500 now, which is a really great job by them. The Padres had on the mound Dylan Cease, 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, no walks, no home runs. So really great start by him. And that's what they traded him for. That's what they brought him to San Diego for. For the Rockies, they had on the mound Austin Gomber, big part of the Nolan Arenado trade. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, an earned run, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 4.32 ERA on the season. So wasn't great, but I think it could have been a lot worse, especially for a pitcher in Coors who's on the Rockies against an offense like the Padres. So I think it's not the worst start you've ever seen. So again, could have been a lot worse, and it's not bad. So yeah, those are the NL games of yesterday. Just talking about them. We're going to our third segment, which is talking about the Orioles surging into first place in the American League East. just my overall thoughts on them, some news that's happening with them, and just an AL East preview. I should say overview, not preview. So yeah, we're talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is talking about the Orioles' recent ascension to first place in the American League East. Now, before this, the Yankees were in first for most of the season, starting off the season really strong, sweeping the Astros in Houston, and then just continuing with that. But they've been kind of struggling lately a little bit. And the Brewers, not the Brewers, sorry, the Orioles saw blood in the water and finally took the lead yesterday, taking a half-game lead over them, having a 15-7 record to the Yankees 15-8. So it could just be for a little bit, but I really want to talk about this. I thought it was really, really interesting, and yeah. So when you look at the AL East so far, I think the main thing you see right now is Juan Soto and the Yankees. That's really been the biggest story. That's really been the biggest thing that did happen. So, but I think what's getting overlooked a little bit is how good and how young and how exciting this Orioles team is. Now, I mean, the sheer amount of talent they have is just incredible. I mean, going from position to position. At catcher, you have Adley Rutschman. First base, you have some days Ryan O'Hearn. You also could have Ryan Mountcastle. Second, um, you have a multitude of guys. I think mainly Jordan Westerberg is playing over there. You have Jorge Mateo sometimes playing at shortstop. You have Jackson Holliday at short now coming up. So I want to get the some more people up now. Usually I can remember this. I'm having a little bit of fart here, but I mean, yeah. At first you have Ryan Mountcastle. He plays there most days. At second you have Jordan Westerberg. Short, then at third you have Gunnar Henderson, who's an absolute beast. Short you have Jackson Holliday, and then you have Colton Cowser, Cedric Mullins, and Anthony Santander there in the outfield. Ryan O'Hearn is at DH as well. And you just called up another prospect who I will be talking about in this segment. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think we all know who it is. But I do want to have a full thing on that, so I'll give you my thoughts on that. But um, yeah, I mean just the overall team and depth, how young this Orioles team is just incredible. I mean, first of all, after the offense, you added Corbin Burns in the offseason with the pitching. So I think that was another thing that really, really improved you guys. You have Grayson Rodriguez, you have Dean Kramer, Cole Irvin, Albert Suarez, Kyle Bradish, John Means, Tyler Wells. All three of those guys that I mentioned last, Bradish, Means, and Wells, are on the injured list, but at the same time, they're still really big contributors and they're still really great players for you guys. So it's not a surprise that the Orioles did take over first in the American League East. I did think they were the best team. I thought the Yankees were the better team once they added Soto for most of the offseason, but at the same time, once Garrett Cole did get hurt, I thought the Orioles were the better team because they did add Corbin Burns and they did have some other young guys in rotation. I thought the Yankees rotation after Cole got hurt was too big of a question mark. But to the Yankees' credit, they started surging without Cole. A lot of their new additions, mainly Juan Soto, were performing really, really well. So they just took first and ran with it. They didn't really stop and they just had it. But the Orioles now took it away from them. So very happy. I love this team. I think they're really, really great. And just again, they're going to be together for a long time, which is something that's really, really nice. I think for the Orioles and for the Orioles fans, you haven't had this kind of team in a long, long time. Having a rebuild for as significant as the Orioles did, as public as the Orioles did for that long of a time, I think was something that you need to say, okay, you know what? We're rebuilding, but we're going to see the fruits of our labor some point. And I think the Orioles, more than any other team who rebuilt in a long, long time, needed to get their prospects to work. They needed to get them up in the big leagues. It needs to be really, really good, and they needed to get them, you know, on a major league level. And I think that they did that, and they passed with flying colors. I mean, first of all, you drafted Adley Rutschman first overall, who has been everything and advertised. Everything is advertised. I mean, he's your franchise catcher. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. I think he's already the best catcher in baseball. He's been up like 2, 3 years already. So that was another great pick. Drafted really well. Some of these guys. I mean, Saxon Holiday was drafted first overall, and he was really good. I think a lot of the other guys you had, including Colton Cowser, were really nice. Gunnar Henderson. But you also traded for guys. You also made some really savvy trades to be able to get parts of your young core. The one big one I think of is Jainer Cano. The Orioles saw an asset in Jorge Lopez, a star closer for them a few years ago, and were like, okay, you know what? We may be a good team with him, but we don't think we're significantly worse without him. We think we know how to develop bullpen arms. We think we can get another Jorge Lopez pretty easily. We think he's kind of excess goods for us. So let's ship him out to any team that wants him. Let's say the Twins. Okay, so Jorge Lopez gets shipped out to the Twins. In exchange, along with a multitude of people, the Orioles got back Yiner Cano. Yiner Cano would become their closer after Felix Bautista would get hurt. He would be the setup man to Felix Bautista, but once he would get hurt, you would have him as your setup man. He would be the star closer for you guys, which would be um, a really big deal for you because your bullpen was not, sorry, not what I wanted to do there. So Yiner Cano would end up being a great player for you guys. He would end up being a really significant piece for your team. So that's another thing the Orioles did. They made savvy trades along with drafting well. And they also got back Gabe Popovich, who was another solid starting pitching prospect in their organization. So I think the Orioles have just done a lot of good things well, a lot of things that you need to do to run a successful organization. I think that the Orioles have succeeded in. And if you told me that a few years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I mean, it was only a few years ago that they were kind of in the deepest depth of sports hell with a contract like Chris Davis weighing you down. You had to trade your franchise superstar in Manny Machado without winning anything significant. You also had Zach Britton, who you had to trade. People forget how great Zach Britton was in his prime and how big of a deal that was trading him to the Yankees. So, I mean, it just seemed like the Orioles were nowhere, but they figured out how to get from under that rebuild and get these great players, make great trades, draft really well, sign people really well, and now they're the best team in the American League. They're ahead of the Yankees in the AL East, and you know, last year they won 101 games. Yes, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs. I think a lot of people were expecting that, and that was mainly because of their experience. I mean, no one expected the Orioles to do what they did yet last year, and they did though. So I think a lot of people were skeptical because of the experience they had, and well, I should say the lack of experience they had, and because they were so young. So I didn't expect them to go far. They didn't. Of course, they lost in the first round to Texas. So I mean, it's not that surprising, and it's not something where I said, wow, the number one seed who won 101 games lost in the first round. No, we figured they would. So I kind of looked at last year as kind of a practice run. But I think this year is mainly the year that you're going to see the fruits of your labor. You're going to see you not only make the playoffs, win around 100 games, something like that, but also be competitive in the playoffs. Last year you weren't, simply put, because you were such a young team, because you didn't have experience in the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to watching them this year. I think they could be a really, really great team. I think they can win a lot. And I'm happy for them that they are ahead of the AL East, and I'm happy for the fan base. I mean, it's one of the better fan bases in the league, I'd say. When they are good, that fan base is really, really electric. I've been to Camden Yards multiple times. It's an absolutely beautiful, incredible stadium. So I'm happy that Camden Yards gets some work as well. So yes, overall excited for the Orioles. Happy that the rebuild finally paid off. And another thing they did was they got guys who were thrown away by other teams and they made them really good contributors. I mean, Ryan O'Hearn is the first guy that comes to mind. I mean, this guy was a throwaway by the Royals, traded to you for nothing, and then you make him into a really great starting DH for you, who was one of the big reasons your offense was as elite as it was last year. So that was another great thing they did. Just the organization is fully revamped and just done a really, really great job of finding these guys, making savvy trades, just having savvy moves. So yeah, it's a great job by them. And yeah, this organization really, really has turned it around. So congrats to them. Overall, with the AL East outlook, I just did want to say that I do think the Orioles are the best team in that AL East. I I think with all the talent they have, with all the pitching they have now, with Corbin Burns being there, I think they're better than the Yankees. I think they're better than the Blue Jays. I think they're better than the Rays. They're also better than the Red Sox. So I um I think all their additions are finally coming together, and I do think they are going to win the AL East. I don't. I think the Yankees could make a surging comeback once all the offense keeps going. I mean, Judge isn't really going as well right now, also with Rizzo. So once he gets going, you're going to be a lot better. Once you get Cole back, you're going to be a lot better. So there's a lot to look forward to if you're a Yankees fan. But right now, I do think the division is the Orioles to lose, and I think they are the best team currently there. Another thing I want to talk about with them was Jackson Holiday, kind of shifting gears a little bit. The top prospect in baseball was caught up by the Orioles, of course, and it's not been great so far. He has one hit and 32 plate appearances, only two walks and 16 strikeouts. So not not really what you wanted. I, like a lot of people, were expecting him to make an immediate impact. I thought he would be the franchise shortstop from right away. Of course, he is their franchise shortstop. There's no real debate about that. I mean, he is the guy. But at the same time, you need to see a little bit more from him. It isn't great right now, and uh, yeah, just you need to see more. And there needs to be more done with him. And I think he needs to show something. He's not hitting, but okay, is he showing plate discipline? No, he struck out 16 times to two walks. So overall, I think the Orioles need to figure out what to do with Holiday. Again, I think he's going to be great still. I do think we overestimated how good a 20-year-old who's barely played in Double and Triple A would be. But I still believe in him. I still think he's going to be very good very soon. But I think that immediate impact we are all expecting isn't going to happen. And it's kind of unfortunate, but what are you going to do about it, right? So just hoping he can improve in the future and just hoping he can do really, really well. So be watching him and seeing what does happen with him. The next person I wanted to talk about for the Orioles was kind of related to Jackson Holiday. It is a top prospect being called up. Heston Kjerstad was finally called up by the Orioles, former second overall pick, a guy who's kind of been rotting in AAA. He's had really no spot. He's really had no spot there, but this is a guy with tremendous lefty power, 24 years old already. Again, he's an older prospect because he's been in AAA for so long. So just because they didn't have room because they had so much great hitting talent. So I'm really excited to watch Kjerstad, a beautiful lefty swing, light tower power, as they say, good discipline. I think he field okay, but really it's that power. I think he's going to bring in another element to this Orioles lineup that he didn't have before with that big lefty bat. You have guys like Ryan O'Hearn, like Anthony Santander, who are big lefty bats. Santander, of course, being a lefty at the time, being a switch hitter. But I think Kjerstad just brings another element to that, brings another big power bat to them. So I'm watching him. I'm really excited that he finally got called up, and I think he's going to be really, really good. And I'm excited for the Orioles. They finally just find a place for him. I think they had such a good problem in having no spots for a really talented prospect. So yeah, I'm definitely watching him and seeing what could happen there. So yeah. So that is our third segment there, talking about the Orioles moving into first place in the American League East. Uh, yeah, again, a little bit of shorter segment. We are going into our fourth and final segment, which is talking about some recent pitcher injuries in the MLB. We've had a lot of pitcher injuries so far. Thankfully, these guys aren't Tommy John related. Well, at least one of them, at least two of them aren't. One is, but yeah, we're talking about these guys getting injured. Pitcher pitchers getting injured. So yeah, we're talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth segment, which is talking about some recent pitcher injuries in baseball. Now, of course, there are always a lot of pitcher injuries in baseball, especially this year with all the Tommy John and elbow stuff. But these are just three guys that did happen to get injured, and I wanted to kind of bunch them into a segment and talk about them. So, yeah, they're all notable guys, but only one of them, the one I'm talking about at the end, has related to Tommy John. Not, it's not Tommy John, but it is the injury. It is an injury that could cause Tommy John. So, yeah, we talk about that, and let's get into it. So, yeah, the first player we have here is going to be Pete Fairbanks of the Tampa Bay Rays, the Rays star closer. He is dealing with a quote nerve-related issue. We don't really know what that means or what that is, but that's all the information the Rays are giving us. They're obviously being a little bit um, quiet about the injury and just a little bit reserved, hoping that people can figure it out themselves. But I think this is a big loss to the Rays. Definitely, it was only 15 days, but again, Fairbanks is a star closer. He is the guy that the Rays can rely on and say, you know what, it's the ninth inning. We're tied. We're up by a run. We're up by 2 runs. We want to win this game very badly. Hey, Pete, get in there. Be the closer and strike everyone out. I think Pete Fairbanks is one of the top closers in baseball. Up there with Edwin Diaz, with Josh Hader, at least not this year, Josh Hader, but in the past, I still believe in Josh Hader. I still think he's going to be a really good pitcher, but I think he's up there with them, with Clase. I'm sure there's a lot of other guys I'm forgetting. There's a lot of great closers in baseball nowadays. So, um, yeah, I mean, losing Fairbanks is a big deal for the Rays, in my opinion. I think this is a guy that is significant for you and is a really, really great player. So, yeah, I'm hoping that overall the Rays do find a way to kind of figure out his value, figure out ways to replicate his value, figure out a guy in their bullpen to be that closer and be really, really great in the back end. The one thing the Rays been so good at is finding mediocre pitch and turning them into great bullpen arms. I think one recent example, of course, is Robert Stevenson. He was a nobody. He had great stuff, but didn't really get his full potential realized with teams like the Pirates who he went to. So I think Stevenson going to the Rays was such a great fit last year. I kind of expected it anyway. I think a lot of people were expecting it as we saw how good his stuff was with other clubs that weren't as inclined to fully develop him like the Rays were. But what do you know? The Rays developed him, became a great, great bullpen arm, and got a huge contract from the Angels. So he did. He is out for the first year of that contract now with an elbow injury. But the Rays did their job. They developed a nobody reliever to a really, really great back end arm. So I think for a lot of teams, Fairbanks might be losing a guy like Fairbanks for this little bit would kind of put their bullpen into shambles. But not for the Rays. I think they know what they're doing with that bullpen. They know how to develop guys really, really nicely, and they know just what they're doing there. I mean, Jason Adam is really good. Colin Poche is good. Phil Maton, the guy you signed from the Astros, I think is also really good. Garrett Cleavinger, Sean Armstrong, Chris Kavinsky, Kevin Kelly, they're all pretty solid bullpen arms. And if they aren't, they at least have something of interest to the Rays. They at least have a pitch that I think the Rays really like or think they can work with. You just signed Erasmo Ramirez back. He did play a few years with the Rays before, so I think that could be a guy you look towards to see, can we develop something out of him? Can he become a really good bullpen arm for us in the future? That's the second time I've accidentally pressed the outro button. I apologize. But yeah, I think that getting one of these, getting one of those mediocre pitching arms, one of those mediocre bullpen arms, to be a really, really great pitcher for the Rays team, I think is something they're really want to see, and really hoping for. So, yeah, not great for the Rays to lose Fairbanks. Not great for any team, of course, to lose one of their star closers. But if any team's equipped to deal with it, it is the Rays. They have a lot of ammo there in the back end of that bullpen. Um, a lot, a lot to help with. So, yeah, that was that was it for the race part. Just overall with the Fairbanks injury and how it could affect them. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I don't think it's nothing. So I'll be watching that. I'll be seeing if the Rays do blow any games in the near future. And if they do, I think it's pretty clear what we can point at for the reason being. Next player we have here is Frankie Montas for the Reds. Now, Montas was hit by a comebacker a few games ago and had to leave after 2/3 of an inning. So obviously, not great for that. I think Montas has been such a valuable piece of that rotation. The Reds had a lot of great pitchers before with guys like Graham Ashcraft, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, but they signed veteran guys like a Montas, like even Nick Martinez, that really solidify that rotation, give them some really solid innings, and kind of give the younger pitchers as well a mentor to look at and prove with. So it is unfortunate that Montas is out, and he he is going to be placed on the 15-day IL by the Reds. They weren't sure if he would be placed on the IL if it was that serious, but it ends up being that serious. So, yeah, not great there, and not something that Reds fans want to see. But I think Montas can come back, and overall can be a really, really good player. So I think he's been a great, great addition to this Reds staff, this Reds team, and yeah, I'm hoping that he can he can continue being really good when he does come back, and hopefully the Reds can hold down the fort without him. I think they'll be fine. Again, they have a really good rotation without him. Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, Graham Ashcraft, Nick Martinez, who they signed. So there could also be some other young pitchers that could potentially fill in. A guy like Brandon Williamson, or a guy like Andrew Abbott. Those are potential guys to fill in. I think Montas' place in the rotation, and maybe they run with it, and we see what happens when Montas comes back. But yeah, I don't think Montage injury should be long term. I think he'll be back probably after the 15 days pretty quickly. So that's a really good sign there for the Reds. But hoping everything is good for him and hoping he comes back even better. Final player we have is Merrill Kelly, who was scratched from the start a few days ago with a shoulder injury. We didn't know if he'll be on the injured list, be placed on the injured list, but it is now apparently he is expected to be placed on the injured list. Now, the good thing is, even though it is a shoulder injury, he should spend the minimum amount of days on the injured list. He shouldn't spend too significant of a time there. So that could be a positive. But still, I think anytime you have a shoulder injury, if you're a pitcher, it is something to kind of give a double take to, give like, oh, okay, that's not great. And I think that's really what it is with the Diamondbacks right now. You're hoping it doesn't balloon anything further. I don't think it will, but with the injuries you've already suffered to your rotation, you really cannot handle it. Zach Gallen, you have, of course, who was a real ace. Jordan Montgomery, who you signed, thankfully, now before all these pitching injuries happened, who's kind of become a little bit of a safety net for you, who I think is a really great pitcher and is going to be a big improvement to the Diamondbacks team. That's also a positive, but losing Kelly is not something you want. You're hoping it doesn't, again, balloon into anything more serious, but it seems like he should only be out the minimum of 15 days, assuming something crazy doesn't happen, which, again, we're hoping for. But with the injury you've had to him, you had to Eduardo Rodriguez. I think the Diamondbacks are running a little bit thin on pitching depth. I talked about Brandon Pfaadt today, how his start wasn't the best, but I think and it wasn't horrible, but you need him to improve more with the pitching injuries they've suffered with the team. So we'll be watching him, watching other guys with their pitching depth and seeing how they do kind of fill in these spots and pitch really, really well. Guys like Logan Allen, guys like Tommy Henry, Tommy Henry was called up with the Merrill Kelly designation to IL, assuming it does come, because it was like 90% sure, we assumed. Could have happened this morning. I have to see if it did, but last night when I was making this, it did. It was expected that he placed in the injured list. But yeah, guys like Tommy Henry, guys like Logan Allen, who are going to be big parts of their pitching depth for the Diamondbacks, they're going to have to step up a lot, make quality starts, make quality outings. So if you're a Diamondbacks fan, that's what you're really watching, and just hoping that can happen. So yeah, that was our show today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you are listening, if you listen to the whole thing, I do again want to apologize about the audio issue for this episode. It should not be an issue past this. I don't think it's going to be. So yeah, just for this episode, we did have some stuff that happened before the show that forced me to have the audio like this. So again, I do apologize, but hopefully it wasn't too bad, and hopefully you could still listen to it and enjoy it. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. Follow us anywhere you can get to get content and updates: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Thank you once again for watching and dealing with the shenanigans of this episode. Have a great day, and we'll see you at Baseball Scrubs tomorrow. Bye, guys. See you then.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.